Hello, my name is Gavin,
I'm Spencer.
My name is Matthew.
and we did our research on framing effects, the effect framing would have on interest and perceived difficulty. Now, for our introduction, the first part of our research was our past literature. Now, we first looked over a few various studies, although generally we focused on their own findings to show that framing can and oftentimes will modify decision making, interest, and even attitudes. However, out of all these studies, none of them seem to be focusing on the framing effects within course descriptions. However, we did find one that was very, very crucial to our research, being Flusberg et al. From 2024. It used a very similar structure to the study we ended up doing, focusing on a positive and negative frame. Now, for our current study, we were testing student perception on an opportunity framed course versus a challenge framed course. These course descriptions would either be focused, say, for like opportunity, as I had said, whether or not it was for to be more an opportunity for the student to learn, whereas a challenge framed course was presented more as to challenge the student. For our hypothesis, we predicted that opportunity framed courses will generally gather more interest, while the challenge framed courses will be perceived as more difficult. For our method, we had 49 participants who were all students from UMass Dartmouth, enrolled all in psychology courses, and were participating in exchange for extra credit. We had one more participant, however, due to their data being incomplete, we decided to remove them from the study.
For our design, we used a 1 through 5 numerical Likert scale, 1 being lowest interest and lowest perceived difficulty, and 5 being highest interest and highest perceived difficulty.
For our materials, we had 8 descriptions covering 4 different courses, either framed as opportunity focused or challenge focused. We used a Qualtrics survey that participants completed via computer, reading each description, then rating their interest and perceived difficulty.
For our results, we have 2 graphs, one for the opportunity frame and one for the challenge frame. And participants rated the opportunity framed courses as more interesting and less difficult, and participants rated challenge framed courses as more difficult, and they were also less interested in the challenge framed courses.
Okay, so our main predictions were proven correct. Students were more interested in the opportunity framed courses, and they perceived the challenge framed ones would be more difficult. One limitation we believed we had was the lack of variety in our chosen courses. So if we did this again, it would be good to test a multitude of subjects to avoid any pre-existing biases to the subject. Maybe add something like art or bio. Overall, our study shows that when things are framed positively, people find them more interesting and less difficult. It's a small change that can really shape how people make decisions. And in an educational setting, this could be super helpful. Universities could use positive frames to boost enrollment.